Good morning. I'd like to welcome you to Special Edition. My name's Donnie Glover, and it's cold outside here in Baltimore. I hope you're doing well. And I just want to take a moment and pause and tell you about this past year. It's been beautiful. We've had the opportunity to expand our network. We're broadcasting 7 days a week right here. Shows from Oakland, from San Francisco, New York, Indianapolis, and starting this Saturday with our dear colleague down in Miami, Joey Noble, will be broadcasting from Miami. Also, tonight we have some new shows. 6 p.m. we have Yolanda Pulley and Donna Tabron, producer Jason Rodriguez. They're going to bring us Frontline News. And following them is Shared Spaces with Dave Lovelace and Quita Chansey. And at 8 o'clock, got 3 shows tonight. 8 o'clock, we have the Robert Report all the way from Montgomery County. So we're growing in network. And special thank you to all of those people who helped along the way, including Marsha Jews. Marsha Jews has been a staple here, not always in front of the camera, sometimes behind the scenes. Which brings to mind a mutual colleague of ours who has been supportive in his own way, Dr. Tyrone Taborn. And here to discuss the significance of Dr. Tyrone Taborn is Dr. Marc Clarke.
Dr. Marc Clarke. I like that, Donnie. One day we'll all be free.
I'm going back to school to get mine.
Man, I love it, man. You're a genius, though. You're smart. I was not, that wasn't my gift. But I'm going to real estate school, though. I'm back to that.
Why so?
Opportunity. You know what I mean? I was like, all these years, from Baltimore to the DC area, these people have seen me grow my family, you know what I mean? And the powers of home ownership, number one, the importance of home ownership. I think people trust me because, I've been keeping it real all these years. And, I think, so I have the connection to the community. Also, to be honest, Donnie, I have the, connection to the community, integrity. I really just want to help people for real. And also an insight into the upper middle class too. So it ranges from people who've never owned a home, raising a single, like me and my mom, we got our first house when I was a freshman in high school. And to those people who are curious about $1 million homes. So, and then also obviously another stream of income, which everybody needs.
I want to put it out there, Mark, for store owners, for shop owners, beauticians, barbers. Mark, if I've seen it once, I've seen it 1,000 times. And I imagine, although you're in Prince George's, Montgomery, and the disposable income is more, I imagine the same thing happens there in the DC area as anywhere that Black people are. A beautician will go in and build up this business at this location that she's renting. And after 2 years, the landlord starts counting her money.
Yeah.
And then what does he do? He goes up on the rent. And I don't mean to be stereotypical on he's and she's, female landlords, whatever, male renters, shop owners. As soon as you build that joint up, they're going to go up on your rent and you're going to end up moving. And so all of that work that you put in to building this salon, this barbershop, this business was for naught because you're starting all over again. I've seen it multiple times. And so my advice, my encouragement to business owners, own your shop.
Yeah. Own your shop. You said it, Donnie. And that's a perfect segue into the metaverse, right? That's a perfect segue into the metaverse. Why is Tyrone so excited about the metaverse? Because now it's not brick and mortar, it's the metaverse. You know, it's the internet, it's the virtual world, and a chance to own a stake in the virtual world. And that's what Tyrone's so excited about it. And it's so funny that I was talking to some different business owners who are they're doing the metaverse thing, but just like like you just said, just like that shop owner who's building theirs at a house that a building they don't own, they're going to these companies that they don't own, and the companies, luring them in. They set up their shop over on the metaverse. They pay a low fee. And then, like you said, what's going to happen when this explodes, which is going to do, then they're going to go up on the rent versus getting in with a trusted name who's really about, Tyrone at this stage in his life. And Donnie, I hate to say it because we're getting there, or we're there already. As when you get to a certain age, those things that got you excited, it's not the same, right? I mean, yes, money, wealth, all that stuff, comfort is still important, but you start talking about your legacy. And Tyrone is really excited about, because again, Tyrone's made a lot of money. He's made a lot of connections. He won many awards. But what's the legacy? What do people say? Donnie, we talk about this all the time because I told you since I've known you that you always reminded me of my grandfather. Again, like you said, Donnie, as I look back at it, sadly, his business was the same fate of many, not just Black-owned businesses, but family-owned businesses. The shop that was in our backyard, the house that I grew up in, all that went for taxes, man, because we couldn't get together. We couldn't, as a family, 5 people couldn't get together and decide, are y'all going to sell it? Can my mama buy it? Whatever. Because we couldn't get together, all those memories, all that history is down the drain. So now we talk about the metaverse, a place where people are starting to build their businesses. Tyrone is saying, hey, come check this out. This is where the future is, in one place, almost like a virtual Black Wall Street, if you will. And that's why he's so excited about it, because of the legacy. He wants to be the guy that brought these businesses together. And finally, like you said, Donnie, you ain't got to worry about the rent going up. You don't have to worry about somebody taking it from us. And we're talking, now with who knows, with Bitcoin and all the forms of money, this whole virtual space, it might be untouched. You might not have to, you're not going through the same system that you had to go through before. You're not going through. And so that's why he's so excited about it. And again, I know for people who don't know what it is, because I've, with my different platforms, I've talked about it, Donnie, and people still be like, now, what exactly is it? Just follow us. Like just the other day, Donnie, the whole Bitcoin cryptocurrency thing that, again, everybody's talking about. I ran into a sister that she used to be in Baltimore, and one of her gifts is, and I remember, Donnie, she remembers something I asked her 20 years ago on the radio, back when she was flipping homes, and she was, she doesn't look like the image of the person that's a business genius. And I know that could sound crazy. I'm not trying to, I'm trying to say, Donnie.
She doesn't look like Warren Buffett.
Right. The question that she remembered that I asked her when we just reconnected on LinkedIn just the other day, she said, Mark, you asked me years ago, do people underestimate me? And she said, yes. And that was back when she was on the real estate tip and doing that. Now she's on the crypto tip. And what I realized about her, one of the reasons she succeeds, Donnie, is because, and we're communicators. Some people, number one, know how to meet people where they are, number one. And number two, they know how to speak their language. And for me, I have no idea what the crypto and the blah, 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 but she was breaking it down so much, she got me fired up. And one of the things that I saw, just like back to Tyrone with this metaverse thing, Donnie, is it's new, and getting in early is important. Why? Well, because Donnie, we remember when Facebook first started, and Google first started, and Starbucks first started, and Amazon first started. We remember. We were alive. We saw it.
You have mail.
You have mail. I remember Tammy, shout out to Tammy Holland in St. Louis, who was one of the first people that took me over to Facebook, and I didn't get it. And I think I joined, and it sat there for years before I hopped on. But we remember, Donnie, if we put down $100 on those companies, we'd be millionaires now, you know? And so now I'm like, oh, when she broke down the crypto thing, the same thing. So you don't got to put out even 100. I mean, it's like less than a penny value. So say you throw 100 on it, 200s on it. If that thing goes right now that's under a penny, when that gets to 10 cents, she broke it down, Donnie. She's like, when this gets to 10 cents, not $1, when this thing gets to 10 cents, I'll be worth $34 million, Donnie. She said, I started off with I threw in $1,800, and now I own $233 million. Da, da, da. You know what I mean? And so you're like, okay. And that was the first time it clicked. And so if you're hearing this conversation and you don't know what the hell we're talking about, just Donnie's going to continue to have people on. There'll be some people you vibe with, some people you don't, some people you go, oh, okay. What does Oprah say? That aha moment when you go, oh, and so Donnie, again, this weekend was my first, and I got friends who are in crypto. It was my first aha moment. And I realized it was because I think at the end of the day, she broke it down like our teacher used to say, so a third grader can understand it. And in this case, I guess I'm the third grader. That's what she did. Oh, and lastly, Donnie, I got the Oculus headsets, right? The Oculus headsets. Allison was it's the first time, this weekend was the first time she tried it. And that kind of.
You got them nearby?
I do. Yep. I do have them. It was the first time. Sadly, Donnie, I got to get a strap because her head was too little. But the kids, once the kids put them on, then they were like, "Oh, so these are like $2.99 and $3.99," and so again, another side note, Donnie. I'm rambling. I was talking to Dr. Taborn. And again, Dr. Ty, and he said something that made me be like, Donnie, because you and I are conspiracy. It's not even conspiracy. It's really facts. It's really, we always know there's something going on. You just maybe don't know the information. It hasn't, but something's bubbling. So I'm talking to Dr. Taborn about the metaverse. And so STEM City USA, he always says 2D, it's 2D, but he said you can also access it 3D, right? So 3D is when you have the Oculus headphones, and now you are immersed into it. And so now you're walking around in the world. The 2D is you're watching on your computer, your phone, and you're immersed, but it's like people are watching right now in Sim City. It's almost like watching a movie. You're watching it, it's 2D, but you're not immersed in it yet, but it's coming. And he was saying it's built there, it's there already. So when he was talking about it, Donnie, he said something to me, and I was like, I knew it. When Facebook changed the name to Meta, we knew something was at play, but we didn't know what it was. Just like the congressional panel who doesn't know what the hell's going on because they're 90 years old, we're the same way. And so the congressional panel talking to these tech guys is a waste of freaking time because they don't even know what's coming up next. So Facebook changes its name to Meta, right? And so when Doc's talking about the metaverse, he's like, yeah. I said, so yeah, can you access it 3D? He said, yeah. He said, but that right now is just for gamers and just for the wealthy. When he said that, Donnie, boing, I was like, so Facebook was getting all this heat on their practices, right? They switched to Meta.
But that's not why they changed.
Well, I'm just saying, just like the space travel piece, people going to the moon, they're landing somewhere else. They're building something else that the average people aren't even on and won't be on probably for 10 years. And that's why when he said the virtual reality or the meta is for the gamers, because the gamers are on it, and the wealthy, I just stopped and I was like, interesting. Because that means that our community is going to be 10 years away. So why did they do that name change, Donnie?
Hey, I am not the expert, and if Ray wants to chime in, that's our producer over there at STEM City. Please jump in. But following what you just said, using basic logic, it is the next step. And I just wanted to say that Tyrone Taborn has always tried to close that gap.
Yep.
And what we see is, although he's made many efforts over the past 35 years to close the digital gap, to end digital slavery, a new wave is coming, and we better be able to adapt. We better get some. Hey, we got $300 belt buckles. We got $600 pocketbooks with no money in it.
Yep.
So the $300 for those goggles, hey, if that can open up more doors and I have access that I wouldn't otherwise have, kudos to Dr. Taborn for making it a priority in our community.
Yeah. You remember years ago, Donnie, Doc brought in on the Big Fat Morning Show, Mark Dean. Remember he came on and he was, one of the developers of the laptop.
Yeah, computer.
And it was funny because he, at the time, Donnie, so we're like, obviously the next question, follow-up question, he was working at IBM, his team did it, and he, at that point, he was a little, not bitter, he was a little frustrated because you know how it goes, you basically did this new innovation and you didn't really get, you're part of the team, but you didn't really get the boom, boom, boom. So he's still there, Donnie, so they must have made it right. But our parting question was, so, Mr. Dean, what are you working on? He's like, well, Mark, we're working on something. It's like a phone, but it's bigger. It's almost like a pad. It would be almost like a pad, and it would almost have the same capabilities of a computer. And we were like, right. Right. Because again, Donnie, your mind at that point, the cell phone we still have flip phones. So we were like, okay,
Blackberries.
Yeah, right. We have Blackberries, we have beepers. So in your mind, it's funny how your mind doesn't even. It was like a pad. But again, why? Like, why would anybody want a pad that was like a computer? Well, the rest is history. But again, like I said, I think he's still there, so they must have made it right. And so we are now, Donnie, are there. We're right. We are two unlikely people, thanks to Dr. T. We are standing in the metaverse.
I disagree. Your grandfather and those other ancestors have carried the black press for generations. We're the 21st century version.
You're right.
And the generation after us will be even more vested. And so I know you're thinking the same thing is, how much and where do I put it? How much money do I need to get a intelligent stake in the future? But also, that's the very reason that we're here today. This show, thanks to Dr. Taborn and Ray and all of those people at Career Communications.
Shout out, Ray.
This show, shout out to the producer, man. No chef, no food. This show is on the Metaverse now. So I guess you can look at it through your goggles while I go to the store and get me some new goggles. But as you were talking, I don't know, I have a North Avenue point of reference. I'm just wondering why you got them goggles on. Can you get stuck up?
Not yet, but it's coming. Just like the crypto, you know how that works. The those that do that, those that they got ideas, and it's funny you say that because it definitely, like you said, those same people that buy those $300 belt buckles are buying the $300 headphones and playing the games and getting acclimated to it. And I think one of the things, Donnie, that our generation has to finally get over is the feeling that, we were raised with the pendulum is going to swing forward and swing back. And that's how we kind of look at stuff. We'd be like, oh, that's a little trend right now, but blah, 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 blah. Now, it's interesting. It is, but then also this generation will, basically end the technology and move on to the next. You know what I mean? And like you said, if people still aren't I have a friend who doesn't have a computer, and it's like he's in the 60s, and it's like, dude, like it's not going to swing back to it's not going to swing back. It's going to swing forward. So if you're still saying www. And now we're in a metaverse, you're going to be so far behind. It's going to be a challenge. So I just say, all of those of us who are 50 plus, let's make it our business, just like fitness and health, that we stay on top of this stuff. Even if it's just listening to Donnie's show, if it's listening, because Donnie's going to put the guests on, and a lot of the stuff, again, I remember when I was a student, Donnie, I didn't understand half this stuff, but I paid attention, even though I wasn't understanding it, because sometimes it did seep through.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because as you were talking, Ray Haysbert came to mind.
Oh my God, Mr. Haysbert, always on top, right?
He was 80 years old, showing me how to pass my business card. And I think we had Blackberries back then, how to take your phone and send your business card virtually.
Yeah.
And when I remember him at 70, 80 years old, showing young buck me this technology, number one, I realized there are no excuses. If Mr. Haysbert is doing it at 80, I know damn well I better get on the job. But also, there's no excuse for anybody else. Also, we can't make the excuse in our community that we don't have this, we don't have that, when we buying $300 belts, $600 pocketbooks.
And the information is there. And Donnie, like you said, I think the one thing that's so interesting about that I've discovered in the entrepreneurial with you entrepreneurs. I'm a budding entrepreneur. It's the
Not
drive.
At this point. You're a veteran at this point.
Well, but it's a drive. It's an attitude. It's something that I think 9-to-5ers don't really understand. Like Donnie, you've been living off your own. You've been killing it and eating it for years.
20 years this year.
So people, you know how 9-to-5, like I look at my again, God bless my wife. Thank God I married my wife. Thank God, Donnie. Because again, the financial ups and downs, wife was been holding it down. And so Allison's interesting, like the way she reminds me of the classic 9-to-5 mentality. Like Allison would get stressed out about a blank, right? A bill, a situation. Entrepreneurs like Donnie, every day, even when you win. Okay, so Donnie just landed a big client. He's excited about it. They signed the year agreement. But guess what? He got to make that client happy, and that client can pull out any day. So every day, you're always thinking about, it's managing, right? It's managing, what am I going to do today to earn money today? Or this is due today. I just got a big payment here, but I got to figure out what I'm going to do in the fourth quarter because I'm not going to have a lot of new people. Mm-hmm. And so this is something that the average person, when they look at the beauty shop owner, the newspaper owner, the so-and-so owner, they don't really understand. And that's why Sanjay years ago, now Sanjay's an entrepreneur, but years ago, Sanjay used to say a phrase, and he used to bother me, and I wasn't even really an entrepreneur. She would be like, oh, no, they're good. Like they made enough money where they're good. When you own a business, you're never really good, right? It's like, so that's the part that I really respect. Like you said, with Mr. Haysbert, he was always on top because he realized if I'm not, I'm slipping.
I heard something end of last year, three characteristics of an entrepreneur. They were so profound, I had to write them down. They're right here on my wall. Always striving for more. Number one. Number two, an entrepreneur is a problem solver. And number three, an entrepreneur is a self-starter. Yep. But it was that first one that really got me. people tell you things, oh, Mark, you this, you that, you the. But one thing that sticks is when somebody like Alexis will mention in just in conversation how we always are looking for what's next. We're always striving for more. This STEM city thing alone is adapting. Tell me about it.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. And it's and that's, I think the funny part is it can be, sometimes it can be intimidating when you always start wanting for more, because some things, like you say, is it a trend? Is it real? Is it now? Is it distracting me? Da 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 da. These are all things. But I think the part, like you said, Donnie, it's like now we're in a world where that pivot can save you, or not pivoting can kill you. I think restaurants are a prime example, right? You look, you see some restaurants, and that pivot to ordering and people being able to order changed their, some restaurants actually became better, right? More efficient, because they were spending a lot of time on some stuff that was really a distraction. Some of the menu items, you know what I mean? Does anybody want a steak right now at home versus does somebody want a grilled steak sandwich, or some wings, and then like you said, so back to the metaverse. Is this a trend? Well, anytime you start seeing banks advertising early on, to me, then if you're a business owner, you gotta, if a bank's advertising it and I'm a business owner and I need money, then it's almost like they go hand in hand. If the bank's doing it, I'm doing it, because obviously if the bank's doing it, I might be able to get some money if I'm promoting it, and so it's almost like always paying attention. And I think it is easy sometimes for business owners to get distracted and not be paying attention, like social media, the power of an Instagram. Even with us, Donnie, with our platforms now, what I'm really seeing, and I have to shout out to Willie Jolly the other day. I'm starting my morning show at 10 o'clock this morning. So after you watch Donnie, come see me. But Willie said, Mark, it's important. He said, don't say sponsorship, say partnership, right? And it's so crazy, Donnie. I put that on Instagram. Hey, I'm looking for partners. Da, da, da. And it was like crazy. Because when you have a product, you need a platform to get it onto. And when I say sponsor, some people go, the first thing you think of is how much is it going to cost me, right? When I say partnership, especially with people like us who've been around for a long time, people see, our reputation speaks for itself. People will say, well, damn, an opportunity to partner with this person. I'm interested. And I had to shout out to Willie, because that right there, that day, I got 4 or 5 inquiries with real people, not like, like real, because again, even at my event, Donnie, thank you again for coming to. God bless you, brother. You came all the way out to PG for my event.
That was my word. I gave you my word,
and you made it out. You and your driver. It hit me, Donnie. Again, same thing. If you got a great product, Marc Clarke, why not? Why not give it some love? Triumph Tissues. I'm on the mailing. I get this tissue every month, a box every month. Allison's like, what is that? Triumph Tissue, baby. Black-owned tissue company. Shout out to the late, you knew him, Donnie. What's his name? Ken, the guy who got killed by the sniper. Ken, did you know him? Didn't you tell me about him? Ken, I can't think of his name.
The Montgomery County sniper?
Yeah. This thing, there's a brother, his name escapes me, Donnie, but he was all about auto ship, right? And he was all about auto ship. Eartha told me about him. I'm sure you came in contact with him. So back when I was in New York, I was doing this thing called Archer Pine. Me and a partner were going to try to do this Black Amazon piece. And every time I mentioned Archer Pine in the DMV, people would say, oh, that sounds like what Ken was doing. Ken, I can't think of his name. So
I do remember it. I remember the name.
He was out there, he's building it. So Donnie, so it made, first of all, so then somebody said, yeah, man, too bad he got killed by the sniper. And I thought, that's that seems pretty random about the snipe. That seems random, right? He got killed by the sniper. That seems random. So I'm looking on YouTube, and Dick Gregory, the late Dick Gregory, had a headline about the sniper and the guy's named Ken and how he got taken out by the sniper. So of course I was curious, like, what are you talking about? I look it up, Donnie.
Ken
On the
from
same
Philadelphia. He was
episode.
from Philadelphia.
Right. So Dick Gregory's talking about him and the sniper. And in the same episode, Dick Gregory ties the sniper to Chief Moose. I was like, what? The sniper and Chief Moose served in the Air National Guard in Oregon together. So he raised the question. Ken, who had just got allegedly a huge sum of money to support his auto ship business, was he just randomly taken out by the sniper?
Wow.
So I was like, yo. And again, Donnie, for all that just to come, you know what I mean? It just all, like we talked about earlier, these pieces just fell into place in a random manner. And then Chief Moose, who just recently passed away in his 60s, it's interesting.
We got to put a plug in for Marc Clarke Media.
Well, thank you, sir. Yes, Marc Clarke Media. Let's plug it up. Today, I start my first show on YouTube. It's at Reinventing Marc Clarke. So go to Reinventing Marc Clarke at 10 o'clock. Like Donnie's, information, entertainment, and really conversations. Healthy, wealthy, and wise is the theme. I'm on this health journey. I'm on this wealth journey, and we're trying to get wiser every day. Metaverse. And so, Donnie, and we're going to be doing some great things together. I had a couple great meetings this week, and your name came up a couple times, Donnie. So that's always a good thing, right?
Yeah. How does it feel? Are you the same Marc Clarke from 6 months ago or a year? I see an evolution. I see reinvention. I see wiser.
I think, Donnie, the thing we talked about, back to that, the attitude of an entrepreneur, the thing I realized, Donnie, and you've known me a long time, and you've seen me lose weight and gain weight many times. You've seen me start and stop. And the other day I did a podcast, Donnie, and I talked about it, and I hope somebody can hear me on this, Donnie. I realized what was missing was, I think I had my attitude. I think, Donnie, I had a certain comfort. Have working on a certain comfort that is a blessing, but I think the comfort made me not stagnant, because I was never really stagnant. But I asked myself the question. I admire Ray Lewis. I admire The Rock. I admire these physical guys that push the limit. And I'm like, why didn't I push it all the way? I'd always get to a certain point and back off. I'd always get to a certain point, and I realized, Donnie, it's an attitude. Back to that same attitude of the entrepreneur. I think I have a comfort level. I have a beautiful wife, I have a beautiful family. I was never physically, with a blessing, I've never, even at 372 pounds, Donnie, I never physically felt bad. I never was encumbered. I was always moving. I never felt like I was, I'm dying. And so I think because of that, I dropped 40 pounds, 20 pounds. I call that a win, as opposed to what made me not say, Donnie, let me get in the best possible shape of my life. Let me get down to my, body fat percentage where I look great with my shirt off. Well, I think, Donnie, I had all the, no pun intended, I had all the booty.
It's relative. It's relative, Mark, because
right.
Somebody might look at you and wish that they had accomplished a quarter of what you have in the world of media.
But like you said, it's back to that pushing through, Donnie. But if I truly had,
let me just put this in there, pimp. When I think of what you went through in media, I was just thinking this morning about the Brooklyn basement. You trekked from DC, not Baltimore, DC to New York every weekend.
No, well, yeah, I was there. I was there during the week and came home on the weekend. Yeah.
Well, and how many? There's a young lady here in Baltimore named Jet. Jet is a makeup artist, cosmetologist. She does the beauty thing.
Mm-hmm.
And she's the reason I started going to New York to do the awards. She told me she knew she had to grow a game. It wasn't happening in Baltimore. She went to New York. And when I thought to myself, wow, the sister went all the way to New York. I should do that. I should go to New York.
Here come Donnie.
Damn Skippy, here I come. And number one, you faced fears most people could not fathom. But then Marianne Williamson, you remember her? She's the lady that ran for president. She said, as you let your own light shine, you unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As you are liberated from your own fears, your presence automatically liberates others. Marianne Williamson, Our Deepest Fear. I love that poem. But you conquered it. So maybe you ain't run 100 miles, but damn it, you did 1,000 miles in that realm of media, because most people couldn't have done it.
Well, I tell you, Donnie,
city.
Well, it was great seeing you in New York. You know, once again, Donnie, you brought your brand to New York. We had a great historic meeting. Remember that, David? That was great, man.
Weeksville. We were over in Weeksville in Brooklyn.
Yeah, that place you took us, Donnie. How did you? I mean, the fact. Look at you again. Back to my grandfather. Always teaching, always growing. Same thing. Your fears, your challenges, Donnie. You've been through your challenges. I think much like the young lady that I was saying, I think, Donnie, you know how to meet people where they are. And I think you also, Sandra Pearsall.
I remember that name.
Yeah, Sandra, you remember Sandra. You know how you know what I'm saying? You understand that other side, that other voice, but much like me, same thing. You had, great parents, great people around you, great intellectual experiences, but also the streets. You know what I'm saying? The streets. And I think that is great, because I think you always bring that question that sometimes people don't bring, or, a perspective that sometimes people never even think about. And so, you've been in both worlds. I think that's powerful. But yeah, Donnie, attitude, and then financially it's the same thing. I think it's almost like, why not? And Donnie, you probably in the same boat when it comes to this. Why shouldn't we have a boat? Why shouldn't we have a beautiful vacation home? Why shouldn't we have millions of dollars? Why shouldn't your media company, BlackUS.News, make just as money as any other network? Why? It's like challenging. And again, back to Mr. Haysbert, the beauty of Mr. Haysbert is, age ain't nothing but a number. It's not too late. And with the information that we have and the exposure that we have, there's no excuse. STEM City USA, and the Metaverse. Why shouldn't that be our playground? Why shouldn't we be able to lure thousands or millions to it and benefit from that and leave a legacy? So this is all, so that's the attitude, Donnie, I think that happened. If the light came on, because what I realized, like you said, Donnie, the funny part about people, Black folks especially, people can give you a backhand compliment to make you wonder and it'll wake you up though, right? I never forget when I was in high school, a white kid did it, and I was like, wait a minute. And I didn't. He said I was super popular in the white high school. I was the black guy who was popular in the high school. I was standing in line, and he said, "Hey, Mark, you're not running for class president, are you?" And that question, I never thought about it. And I was smart enough to at least not answer, and I didn't. But looking back, I should have, Donnie. Why not? Why? You know what I mean? I could have, voted best personality. Who gives a damn about best personality? Class president. I wasn't paying attention. So the same thing, Donnie, with the weight loss journey. Somebody said, "Man, Mark," this was a diss compliment. But he said, "Hey, man," I said, "if Marc Clarke can lose 100 pounds, then I know I can lose 100 pounds." And so I was like, "Okay, thank you."
But see, that's not That's not for you. What's for you is what motivates you. That's what motivates them.
Right. But I'm just saying, but it was funny because it was like that was an interesting take because so what is that saying about who I am? If you say if he can, but it was great because again,
everybody, it's easy to point a finger at you.
Right.
What's difficult are those three fingers pointing back at me.
Right. No, and that's I wasn't offended, but it was just funny. It was great to hear it because it does make you also, Donnie, last thing. The other thing that and we know I'm not mentioning any names, but you already know the vibe. Something that I also realized, Donnie, all those years, Big Fat Morning Show, 92Q radio, the power brokers, I would be in different rooms. And what I noticed was I wasn't a threat because I didn't activate my power. But I noticed how certain people were always looking, you know what I mean, for me to activate it. And I never did. And so it was like they kept me close. I'm there. You know what I'm saying? But I never really used that bully pulpit like I could have and should have. There were, I never asked for anything. People came on every day. People came on regularly every day. And I never asked for anything. You know what I'm saying? Politicians, community activists, people on the Big Fat Morning Show, boy, they were on there giving them my audience, giving them my listeners, giving them the community. And I never, ever asked them for anything. And now at 55, Donnie, I'm just saying I understand it now. I now understand the power.
That's who you are, Mark. At least
that's true. No, that's true. And you're right. I wouldn't change a thing. I wouldn't change a thing.
Because you don't want nobody coming back and say, I gave you this.
No. Yeah, I wouldn't change a thing, Donnie, but I'm just saying, because you said it to me. Understanding, though, what it is, I think, is the piece. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Understanding what it is. And lastly, I'll give you another example. And you're right, I'm going to be who I am, but understanding there's a game. And I just want people to understand, too. There's a game that's going on all the time. So when I was with Radio One, one of the things I look back on, we talk about weight and image. One of the managers at Radio One, I could see him. He was a white manager of a black situation.
Imagine that.
Imagine that, handling talent. What I saw, Donnie, was he didn't get it. He didn't get how this fat guy got the fine wife, got the ratings in Baltimore, and the following. His model, his image of blacks, because he worked in DC, was the Donnie Simpson model, the Tigger model.
This ain't DC, though.
Fast cars, gold jewelry, diamond, shiny, blingy. He was like, this guy's like a regular guy, and I could see he did not get it. So now I did it after I was off the radio, Donnie. I asked myself, would it have been any different if Marc Clarke wasn't 300 pounds, if Marc Clarke was 200 pounds? Would it have been any different? That's a question we don't know the answer to. But I'm just saying, what I realize is, that is a factor. Anytime you're in entertainment, how you look, your weight, your this, your that, these are all things that are factors. And so to say it's not a factor would not be accurate. Now, would I have changed? I don't know. But I'm just saying it just made me look at it differently and understand the power of it. Even with personal friends. I have friends. I bust my friend out the other day. I cracked on his wife, not to her, but to him. I said, man, your wife doesn't like fat people. And he busted out laughing because I was accurate. And I had never thought about that before, but I just start to notice people do have, fat, they treat fat people a certain way. They treat skinny people a certain way. They treat dark-skinned people a certain way. They treat short people. There's a lot of dynamics that go on.
My only problem with heavy-set people is when I'm in the line at Chipotle and they in front of me. If they're in front of me and they're getting multiple orders, now I don't care if you big, little, or small. I got a problem with you getting multiple orders in front of me.
There we go, Donnie. Now the truth has come out. Now I know you.
Don't get no multiple orders in front of me. Just tell me And I should have been paying attention going in the door and running, jumped in front of whomever. And it don't matter what size they are. But I tell you what I don't like, and I'm a little cat, 5'9", even though Chipotle made me a fat boy, I never grunted tying my shoes before. I actually grunted tying my shoes. I'm like, it might be time to go to the Y. But I'm talking about when you're in line and a big dude I feel his breath on the back of my neck. Like, hurry up and order, little man. Now that I'm liable to turn around and put him up.
Donnie, we do not have time for your silliness in the metaverse.
Now that's my only problem. Now in college, all of my friends were bigger than me because I knew they had them big old trunks with them cupcakes, tasty cakes, ho-hos, and all of that. Crimpets, I didn't hang with skinny people in college. What skinny people have unless they have a lunch card that I can go into the cafeteria and use the lunch card. But no, I specialize in hanging with brothers bigger than me. Yeah.
See, Donnie, this is what I'm talking about.
Now, that's the same reason why I didn't pledge Omega Psi Phi, because down in Morehouse, them cats they were like Van Diesel. And they was going to beat me up, and I'm going to pay you to beat me up. I'm from North Avenue.
Donnie, you're an alpha, right?
I never pledged.
Really? You give out alpha energy, don't you?
Well, the first fraternity I ever saw was Omega Psi Phi. And of all places, I was a teenager. I saw them at Mondawmin Mall. They were coming through. They had the fatigues on, their boots. They were all in line. And I had never seen anything like it before. And I had to put two and two, like, what was that? That was the brothers from Omega. That was the first one I saw. When you get down to Atlanta, the Morehouse, you come to learn, of course, that Dr. King was the alpha, 1906, Charles Robinson, and all the other, and that they're pretty smart. But, the Omegas are more, the machismo, the manhood, the army fatigues, North Avenue. But I can relate to the alphas because even though I had to go to Lamel, and I don't know if you know about Lamel, but you had to fight every day at Lamel. Every day. My first day at Lamel, somebody got killed. It's a little junior high school. But I was on the honor roll. And imagine being on the honor roll, but you got to fight every day. So when I went to Poly, clearly there was a culture shock because I never went to school with white people before.
Well, Donnie, I know you had hands because I remember that one time at Radio 1, you tried to throw some at me. So,
I never swing on you.
What's up, Rondi? Rondi knows the story.
I don't remember that story.
But no, Donnie, with the back to the metaverse. Yeah, man. This is this is where it's going. And again, already, the educational piece that's there and the unlimited opportunities. It's amazing, man. It's just great. Just think, Donnie. I think our age group, we witnessed so many things. We've witnessed the decline of so many things, and we've witnessed the beginning of so many things, haven't we? Oh Lord, what happened? I've offended Donnie. He's walked off.
This thing a little dirty. We didn't gone from this thing. Remember this, the rotary phone?
Wow. Isn't that something?
The rotary phone. It was up on the wall in your mother's kitchen, and she had a little list with phone numbers next to it.
Wait a minute, Donnie. What about the new technology when your mom got that long cord? The one in the kitchen, she got the long cord so she could walk all the way and talk to her friends away from y'all?
And then came the wireless.
The wireless phone. Donnie, do you remember the first time you saw a bag phone? The first time you saw a bag phone, a mobile phone?
They were pretty big. My dad had one. He worked for the anatomy board.
Wow.
Yeah. Now,
was it in the bag, the one in the bag that locked in?
It was like you carried it in a suitcase. It was pretty big. But, there were movies early on, like Mario Van Peebles, and them cats had car phones.
Dude, I remember if you go and listen, and I know we got to wrap up, but you go listen to old Chuck Berry car songs, right? Chuck Berry, the image of the rock and roll car song, the Beach Boys pretty much hijacked that, but it was Chuck Berry. he was the one, right? And he talks about, he talks about what he wants in his car, and this is in the 50s.
Yeah,
He says he wants a satellite, he wants a phone,
and a TV.
Chuck Berry, who also was a hairdresser.
Was he?
Chuck Berry was a hairdresser. Chuck Berry was a car enthusiast. Chuck Berry was like, his first hit, he wasn't a spring chicken when he started. He was older when he first started. And also he liked young ladies too. But also he was married to his wife for over 40 years. So, but anyway, yeah. That
Take, rattle and roll, wasn't that it?
No, that he was just Google Chuck Berry and cars and they'll do a whole string of his songs. But anyway,
that one.
That's an old technology, and now we're talking about the new technology. Donnie, thank you for having me on.
Where can people find you? On YouTube? They type in what?
Yeah, just go to Reinventing Marc Clarke, the channel Reinventing Marc Clarke, 10 o'clock, my first episode. Donnie, you're going to be on this week, so you don't know it yet, but you'll be on this week. So
who's today? Who do you got today?
Today I have Dave Anderson, the business bully. We're talking business, but also we're talking weight loss surgery. What are you willing to risk to lose weight and weight loss surgery? Is it worth the risk? Dave, he just had surgery in July. Also, Ronnie, Donnie, you introduced me to Ronnie, and Ronnie's been
Ronnie.
No, not Ronnie. Ronnie, Ronnie who had weight loss surgery.
Oh, Ronnie Lax.
Yep, you introduced me to Ronnie. We've been rolling ever since.
Now.
Yeah, what'd you say?
He's famous now. He don't even answer the phone no more.
Hey, also, who also I'm working with Sandtown. Speaking of Sandtown, is Luvan?
I do.
Yeah, Luvan's got an amazing project, a futuristic project. You familiar with that?
I don't. I saw him at an event recently, but you got to go on the air, and we wish you the best. Big ups. Reinventing Marc Clarke, the one and only.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Donnie. Continued success. Respect. Talk to you soon.
Yes, sir. Stay tuned, folks. We'll be coming back with the Black USA Morning Show with Mr. William Hunter Blue. Thank you to all of those people who chimed in. Ronnie Griffin, Tamathia Flowers. Hi, Tamathia. Paul Stanley, Mr. Hunter Blue. Mr. Hunter Blue coming up in a second. Rico Crawley, big ups to you. Do check out our supporters. Our advertisers, J. Wendell Gordon, Darken and Blue Grill, Edible Arrangements, Black Owned, Randallstown, Govans, and Pittsburgh. If you need a lawyer, do check out the Murphy Firm, Pest Control, the best in the business, Bishop Barry, Joe Mann's Awards and Trophies, Next Phase Cafe. I went through there, missed Tony by 5 minutes over the weekend, 112 East Lexington Street. Also, Commercial Group, Chesapeake Habitat, and the one and only attorney, Robert DeShield. My name is Donnie Glover. Thank you for joining us. Plenty of broadcasting right here, 7 days a week, BlackUSA.News, the voice of our people. Have a beautiful morning. Good morning, world.